Okay, so we've traveled several kilometers to the northwest here, but significantly we have crossed a very major thrust structure, and one that today sort of defines how geologists see the Appalachian Mountains. We've crossed the Blue Ridge thrust, which emplaced the crystalline rocks, the metamorphic rocks we looked at first, on top of younger and in most cases less stratigraphically buried sedimentary rocks like what you're seeing here. And of course the ripple marks that you see in this outcrop are a very good indicator that the burial and deformation history of this outcrop and the rock in this outcrop is pretty distinct from what we looked at the first time around. The rock you're looking at here is actually sort of borderline metamorphic. It would have been buried over 10 kilometers, but right to the thermal borderline at which you would expect to start seeing a lot of mica recrystallization and the other processes that we collectively sort of describe as dynamic thermal metamorphism. The ripple marks being preserved are one indicator that what you see here is still pretty close to what would have been present at deposition. There's also trace fossils that you can pick out here on the outcrop. And a very interesting aspect of these ripples is that we're seeing the bottom of the layer. The convex part of the ripple is very broad and smooth. What we see as troughs here separating those broad areas are much more pointed, and those would have been crests of ripples. So the bedding here has actually been rotated and overturned backwards towards the hinterland. The dip is very steep, and this entire area where we are in the immediate footwall of that large crystalline thrust sheet has been very intensely deformed, but you don't see that deformation at the penetrative level. You're not going to see these small centimeter or smaller scale folds like we saw in the amphibolites and the chlorite schists at the first stop. And if you wanted to sort of reconstruct what would have been here prior to the very deep erosion we've had in the Appalachians, the bottom of that crystalline sheet would have been certainly several hundred meters, if not a kilometer or more above where we're standing right now.